Who else but Hillary Knight to force overtime, and then Megan Keller with one of the nicest game-winning goals you will ever see to put the American women's in the history books. What's up, Florida Panthers Daily? Andrew Sheridan back here with you on Friday. We made it through another week. Friday, February 20th, right here on YouTube every single day, Monday through Friday. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below because we have a jam-packed weekend of hockey. We've had a jammed-packed week of hockey with some of the best endings and most exciting hockey you will watch all year long over in Milan. Social media is AJ Sheridan Radio if you want to give them a follow over the weekend. Of course, we'll be giving my thoughts throughout the Americans' quest for gold. They play Slovakia today. If they can win that one, they will face the winner of the game that is currently being played between Canada and Finland. Of course, these air right here on YouTube every single day at 11, part of the Fan Arch community. We will break down that Canada-Finland game that is already in progress by the time this is releasing, but kind of give you some keys, maybe something. A key has already happened. We will preview that. We will talk about yesterday's gold medal game for the USA women because there's a reason I opened with that. It was one of the most thrilling games that I have watched in a very long time. But let's start with the USA men's team, who will get their semifinal game underway with Slovakia today at 3:10. You see there, can Tkachuk finally break through? Of course, I'm talking about Matthew Tkachuk, him and his brother. His brother has scored a goal. Matthew has been on a score sheet, but he is still yet to score a goal for the Americans. I think today's the day. I've said that a few times now. It is my Panthers bias weighing in, but we've seen him over and over again for the Florida Panthers step up on the biggest stages. So, of course, this is a semifinal game, but it ensures a spot to play for a gold medal. And I think that is enough for Matthew Tkachuk to finally feel that fire and put one past the goaltender. And when I hear semifinal and I think of Matthew Tkachuk, I think of Eastern Conference Finals against the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's get to the bus. Let's get to the bus in overtime. Hopefully this one doesn't go to overtime, which, of course, the women yesterday, 3-on-3. I'll rant about that again in a little bit. But, again, Tkachuk needs to find a way to beat the goalie. I don't care if it is later today, if he has to wait till Sunday, if the Americans can win today and get to Sunday. But I do want to see a Matthew Tkachuk goal over this weekend for the Americans. Speaking of Matthew, I'm talking about Austin Matthews now, the captain for the Americans. He's been good, but he hasn't been great. I think he has done exactly what the team has needed him to do so far. But now that you're into the semifinals, a semifinal matchup that I think the USA got a better draw than Canada. I'll hit on that a little bit more in a second. But I want to see a little bit more out of Austin Matthews over the weekend. He's scored a lot of goals. He's doing what you expect the guy wearing the C to do. But is it maybe kind of just part of the system? It's time for him to start making those plays if the USA wants to wear that gold medal around 11 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday. Jack Eichel, we saw how clutch he was in the playoffs just a few years ago. So do we see that clutchness out of him in the semifinals and hopefully into a gold medal match? I keep calling it a match, a gold medal game. I think Olympics, I think of matches, but will we see that Jack Eichel clutchness come out again for the Americans? Urag Slavatsky will be the best player on this Slovakia team. Of course, he was drafted number 1 overall to the Canadians because of what he did in the last Olympics, but that was not NHL best on best. This is the first time the former number 1 pick will be getting to go best on best in the Olympics. We saw what he did again last time out for Slovakia, and he was only, I believe, 18, maybe even 17 at that time. But it's going to be interesting to see if the former number 1 overall pick is kind of who the Americans want to put their focus on. Again, I think we got the far better matchup taking on Slovakia. The fact that is maybe the highlight player for Slovakia, and that's okay. You're not facing a Finland team that we'll get to in a little bit with 3 Panthers on it and a lot of NHL talent. This team is more of a system. They are young and they are hungry. Last time we met back in 2014, Team USA won 7-1. It was the worst loss for Slovakia in that tournament. But they are coming off their first ever medal just 4 years ago. This team is a lot younger, bigger, and very more exciting than we've seen in the past for Slovakia. And I kind of want to relate this to any South Florida fans who also follow basketball. You want to relate it to the Summer Olympics a little bit? Think of kind of the semifinal game for the Americans 2 years ago. They played Serbia, who had that young talent ready to come in and knock the Americans off the pedestal. The Americans expected to win that game, and that game was a lot closer. Of course, they have the star in Jokic. Maybe Slavkovsky is a few years away, one more Olympics away from being that Jokic-type player. Obviously, probably not an MVP-type level, but think that's the comparison I want to draw. And then also just the underdog comparison. I brought up how they're younger, they're maybe more hungry. It kind of feels like some of those Panthers teams that just weren't that good maybe 3 years ago when they made that run as the 8 seed. Yeah, those are the comparisons I'm making for this one. So I don't think this will be a cakewalk by any means for the Americans. It's a semifinal game, and Slovakia will come out hungry. I think it has to be Hellebuck in net. I mean, you can't trust Swayman, right? I get that you're playing games not even more frequently, because you're playing on a Friday and then not again till Sunday, unless you lose. If you lose, then maybe throw Swayman out there in the bronze medal game. But I think it's got to be Hellebuck for both of these games, even though you may say that it is the easier of the two matchups compared to who Team Canada got. And Team Canada, made up with 3 Panthers, is taking on Team Finland, the 1v4 semifinal. That game currently underway, and there are 6 Panthers in that one. You got Nico Mikala, Anton Lundell, Eetu Luostarinen on Team Finland. You got Sam, Bennett, and Reinhardt, of course, and then Brad Marchand for Team Canada. This game feels more like a system versus a talent type of game. I mean, just think of the Panthers I just mentioned. You got Bennett, Reinhardt, and Marchand, and then you got Mikala, Luostarinen, and Lundell. No offense to anyone that I'm mentioning, and it's kind of just goes to say, but think of where those Panthers are playing on Team Finland, near the top of the lines, because they play in a system. You look at Team Canada, and it's just overwhelmed with talent. And I think that's kind of the flash versus the system. I think is exactly what makes this semifinal so great between these two teams. I think 2 of the best teams remaining. Obviously, they're in the Final Four. I think these were kind of 3 teams we expected to be at this point: Finland, America, and Team Canada. I think this game will come down to the tempo and special teams. Who can control the tempo? I said the Canadians have more talent on their team. I mean, you look top to bottom, they're going to want to get up and go back and forth. I think Finland is going to have to control the tempo, win the neutral zone. You do not want to have turnovers in the neutral zone in this one, especially penalties. You do not want that Canadian team going on the power play too often. But I do think I want to see America versus Canada for a gold medal, get a rematch of last year's 4 nations. But I've mentioned that it's kind of style of hockey versus flashy hockey. And this is the type of game that a goalie can steal for you. Saros, of course, the Predators goalie, will be in between the pipes, is in between the pipes for Finland right now. We see it all the time in the NHL playoffs, especially with the Florida Panthers and Sergei Bobrovsky. A goalie can steal you a game when you need it most. And that is what Team Finland will need right now if they are going to beat Team Canada. They're going to need a Sergei Bobrovsky-esque type performance out of Saros if they want to upset Team Canada. Did they awake a beast by having to take overtime last game to get to this game? I don't think so, but I do think I'm going to give 3 little key points about my prediction to this game that, of course, is currently underway. I think the first goal in this one dictates everything, because if this turns into a track meet, Canada will win it by 2, maybe 3. Again, they have way more talent, and Finland doesn't want to play that style of hockey. But if this game gets to the third period, late in the third period, and it's a 2-1 Finland lead, I don't think Finland, that style of hockey, will allow for that Canadian magic. So look out for how this game starts. If it gets going back and forth, give it to Team Canada. If it is more a slow style with a late Finland lead, look for Finland to be the Americans' matchup on Sunday in the gold medal match. And speaking of Canada and USA in the gold medal match, how about Hillary Knight? How about Megan Keller and the USA women's hockey team winning their 3rd ever gold medal over Team Canada? It was a lot sweatier, a lot more nerve-wracking than the 5-0 win the Americans had over Canada earlier in this tournament. And with just over 2 minutes left in the 3rd period, the captain was able to tie this one up. Again, I was at work during this one, and we have a Canadian as one of my bosses. So obviously we've been talking more about the men's tournament here on this channel on Florida Panthers Daily. but this game deserves its flowers. I hope it's part of the foreshadowing that we are going to get today between Canada, America, their games, and then over the weekend if these two teams match up. And what a way to keep the week of hockey going. Those were kind of my first thoughts after this game. We've had so many great overtime games that this game, being a gold medal game, was able to just match the energy from all the men's games the day before. Again, the 3-on-3, I don't like it. USA was able to get the gold. That's not how a gold medal game should come down to with all the open ice. It's fun, and I get you don't want it coming down to a shootout, but let's go 5-on-5 hockey this year, especially now we'll relate it to the men's. If it comes down to the same matchup, USA and Canada on Sunday, I don't want it coming down to 3-on-3. These guys are playing in the Olympics for the first time in forever. A lot of them for the first time ever. Let's let them, they don't care. They will take whatever recovery they need when we get back to the NHL season. Let's go 5-on-5. If it has to be one of those aforementioned Panther-Carolina Hurricane Eastern Conference Finals games, let's go. Let's do it. I think the ladies would have signed up for the same thing, but the 3-on-3, the Americans were able to get it done. I think if you turned on women's hockey for the first time, you were not disappointed. They were flying around. It came down to overtime, and that defense that we did talk about when we talked about the women's before, the defense was able to get it done, keeping it at 1-0 multiple times, and then in overtime, leading the charge. But now we'll flip the focus back to the men's games because there is some big ones going on this weekend. We highlighted them. Let's jump in to my best bets and let's strike some gold. Now, I'm not looking at today's games because you might be watching this as one game is already over or one game is in progress. So we're going to strike gold with this one. I'm going Matthew Tkachuk point in the gold medal game. That is my pick. I'm hoping, I already predicted that he will score in one of these games, but I will just lay it down with a Matthew Tkachuk point. And now I want to put this little asterisk. If Canada and USA meet on Sunday in the gold medal match, add Hellebuck save to that if we play Canada, because that'll be a nice little parlay. I mentioned the talent for Team Canada. They will be peppering. I cannot wait till Monday. Again, AJ Sheridan Radio on Twitter, X, and Instagram. I will be live tweeting some of the games, giving my thoughts as the games are unfolding. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below right here on Florida Panthers Daily YouTube, part of the Fan Arch community, because we will be back on Monday and hopefully in a gold way for the Americans. No matter what, we will be talking about it right here on Florida Panthers Daily, but hopefully Matthew Tkachuk gives us a lot to talk about, and while we know there will be 3 Americans at least in the gold medal game between the matchup, or the winner of Finland and Canada. Till Monday, I usually end it with let's go Cats, but I'll say let's go USA.